Speaker, thank you very much. I appreciate having the time this afternoon to speak for about 20 minutes on our budget that was delivered here in the legislature on March 25th. And very pleased to have this opportunity because by anybody's definition, Speaker, certainly by mine and I think by most people in Northern Ontario who have had an opportunity to speak with me about it, those people that I've had an opportunity to speak to either through the media or individually or in small groups, by any definition, what we have managed to bring forward in our budget, and I'll speak a bit parochially this afternoon as a member of Northern Caucus and a member of Thunder Bay-Atikokan, this budget was truly and significantly a budget that favors Northern Ontario. And as the Chair of Northern Caucus, Speaker, I am very excited and very pleased by what we've managed to deliver on behalf of people living in Northern Ontario. And I'm going to spend most of my time this afternoon speaking about items specifically to Northern Ontario. The first piece that I wanted to make reference to, Speaker, is a piece that I know that many people are very excited to see us having committed to in the longer term, and that is our energy subsidy plan that we have brought forward that is going to be in position now for all large industrials in the province of Ontario. Previously, up until this point, our energy assistance plans that we've brought forward over the course of the last several years have been available only to wood products industries, large industrials. This new rate will now be able and available to all large industrials, and that will include the steel mills, that will include mining companies, and the forest companies in the province of Ontario. This energy rate subsidy, Speaker, is valued at approximately $150 million per year for 3 years. It will take from what was currently an 18-cent per kilowatt-hour subsidy up to 20 cents per kilowatt-hour subsidy. And to just translate that, that's $20 per megawatt-hour reduction in the price of energy that these large industrials will have to pay. That will translate into approximately a 25% reduction for some of them in terms of their energy costs in the province of Ontario. By any measurement, Speaker, by any measurement, this is an extremely significant announcement for the people of Northern Ontario, and I was very thrilled when our government made it. What I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about, however, is the characterization of this energy rate plan as being too little too late, and of course where that has predictably come from is the NDP. Exactly. It was still, for me, I must say, a little sad, even though predictable, very predictable, to hear the same old coming from the New Democratic Party, too little too late, as if to imply to the people of Northern Ontario that this is the first time that we have brought energy assistance or assistance generally to the wood products industry in Northern Ontario. That's the implication when they say it's too little too late. They want the people in Northern Ontario, in Thunder Bay and all those communities that we heard rhymed off a little while ago to think, they want them to think and believe that this budget is the first time that we've brought assistance for that sector. And of course, that is complete nonsense. There has been energy rate assistance being applied to our forestry companies for several years, 3 or 4 years. But it is not the only form that our assistance to energy companies has come in. It is not the only form. Besides energy rate assistance for our forestry companies in Northern Ontario, we've been providing assistance to them in a variety of other ways. Over the course of the last 4 years, in addition to energy rate assistance, we provided other programs that provided significant support for forestry companies in Northern Ontario. For example, our roads program, when first introduced, was valued at $225 million over 3 years, $75 million a year. We've extended that for 2 years more since that original 3-year program lapsed. It's important for me to remind people in Northern Ontario. It's important for me to remind people in Thunder Bay that that roads program used to be the purview of the province of Ontario until it was downloaded onto the backs of the forestry companies in the early 90s by the New Democratic Party. They did that. So from about 93 to about 2005 or 6 when we brought it back, I have no idea how many tens of millions that cost the forestry companies, Speaker, but it did cost them a lot of money. We've had that roads program in place for several years in addition to energy rate assistance programs. We've provided stumpage relief on a variety of species to forestry companies in Northern Ontario for a number of years. We have been providing, Speaker, for forestry companies significant tax relief. The HST is one tax you're not going to hear the forestry companies complaining about, or the corporate income tax reductions in place, or the elimination of the capital tax, or the significant reductions in business education tax rates that were left disproportionately in place by the Conservatives when they took over responsibility for it in 97 or 98. All of that combined, along with stumpage relief, with the roads program, with previous energy assistance, is a significant package of supports for forestry companies over the last number of years. The previous speaker, who had 20 minutes, rhymed off a long litany of communities in Ontario, primarily in Northern Ontario, that have seen pulp and paper mills and sawmills close. And he's right. They have closed. What he's wrong about is why they've closed. But he doesn't tell you the other half of the story. He doesn't tell you why they've closed. And he doesn't tell you, if he wanted to give the people of Ontario a further geography lesson, that if he knew his geography in British Columbia and if he knew his geography in Quebec, he could probably provide for the people of Ontario, if he so chose, the same litany of communities in those provinces where pulp and paper mills and sawmills have been closing by the dozens in those provinces as well. Unfortunately, that's not the message the NDP want to communicate. They want the people of northwestern Ontario or of northern Ontario to think that the forestry crisis only hit there. They don't want them to believe that this transformational change in this industry occurred anywhere else. They don't want them to know that. We could list off dozens of communities in British Columbia and dozens of communities in Quebec, both jurisdictions of which have seen more mills close and more job losses in men and women than in Ontario. And guess what? British Columbia and Quebec have lower energy costs than we do in Ontario. They always have, and they likely always will. And yet, in those jurisdictions, significant job loss. In the last 6 or 8 years, over 200 mills, pulp and paper and sawmills, have closed in this country alone. I suppose somehow Dalton McGuinty and the provincial Liberals in Ontario are responsible for those mill closures as well. Or maybe there's other reasons for it occurring. Maybe something else has happened that has caused the transformation in this industry and the significant job loss. Speaker, I know these people who work in these mills and sawmills. They're my friends. I grew up with them. I was in a union hall with many of them. I coached their kids in school. I went through high school with them. I coached their kids in sports. I understand very personally what's going on in those families. I think it's important that we convey to those people exactly what it is that's gone on in this industry. Why doesn't the member from Kenora Rainy River ever talk about the appreciation and the value of the Canadian dollar? Abitibi-Bowater in Thunder Bay, one mill, one pulp and paper mill, a 1 cent appreciation in the value of the dollar represents an approximate $3 to $4 million expense to their bottom line. 1 penny. When we came into government in 2003, the Canadian dollar was about 73 or 75 cents. It topped out some time ago at $1.10. Today it's at about $1, almost on par with the American dollar. So 75 to $1, 25 cents times 3 or 4 million, 1 mil on their bottom line every year. About $100 million on their bottom line. 1 mil. Corporately in Ontario for Abitibi-Bowater, you extrapolate that out, that 1 cent comes out to about 12 to 15 million for 1 penny on their bottom line, depending on who you want to talk to. And yet, the NDP will continue to say